So, if you're heading to a VEX competition, this video is your prep checklist. I'm covering every spare part, tool, and piece of hardware you will need, so you spend less time in the pits and more time on the field. We'll split this video into 5 parts: tools and electronics, stress parts, pneumatics, specialty items, and mechs. We'll start with the basics and build up to the stuff most teams completely overlook. Starting off with the bare minimum and the basics. Hot swappable motors. If you have any spare motors, I suggest unscrewing the top of the screws on them and using zip ties in a combination with rubber bands for a safe measure. What this allows you to do is, in case of an overheat, you can easily swap out to a different motor to continue on to the next match if you don't have time to cool down your robot. Another use is if one of the motor breaks, you don't have to worry about unscrewing and you can simply switch out to the other motor. Another one, never forget your programming cable. It's an essential to make quick changes to your code. Drills for fast modifications to plastic and metal. Motorized screwdrivers with long and short bits in order to get into tight spaces. Allen key to get to inaccessible spots. For example, last year in high stakes we had a clamp that we realized we could only fix with an Allen key, and it saved us for the next match because otherwise we'd have to disassemble every major part of it. Normal screwdrivers for tightening screws sometimes fit where motorized ones cannot. For electronics and shafts, it's also safer to use non-motorized ones since you can control the pressure and make sure not to break them. Wrenches, zip tie cutters, for obvious reasons. Pliers in case something bends or you need to do something precise. Always to have them anyways, really. Batteries, at least 1 to 2 per team. Well, 1 to 2 per team is for small scale, obviously, because 1 to 2 is meant if you have a match and then you have a back-to-back match, you can just swap them out. If you have a bigger team, you just need to have a couple batteries in the spare, so if somebody has back-to-back matches. Okay, and if your club budget allows spare sensors, most importantly, the receiver spare. I do know this is a lot, but the right tool in 5 seconds beats the wrong tool in 5 minutes. Drills for fast modifications, motorized screwdrivers for quick changes, and Allen keys for impossible mounting points. Now that we have gone over the most basic stuff, let's go on to something more advanced and niche. Stress parts and pneumatics. Some of the most common stress parts you will most probably already know, such as chain and laser cut plastic, but some more obscure parts specific to your own robot you must remember. Any thin or bent part, especially if it has a few other dispersing the force of the structure around it. For example, on my robot I had 4 mounting points for my entire structure. They all had to be bent slightly to accommodate for specific angles so I could have the overall geometry of the structure to be more triangular. In my first design, it was made to be out of aluminium in order to lighten the robot. Unfortunately, it tended to sometimes break, maybe once every 5 weeks during the start of the season. Taking this into account, we decided that for this version of the robot we would stick with aluminium and we could just grab more spares. And right we were, because the aluminium piece broke after a match and we were able to swiftly fix it and continue without any issues due to this foresight. Now, the pneumatics is a very broad topic. What should one bring? There are 2 versions of VEX pneumatics, the original legacy kit and now the more widespread modern kit. If you use pneumatics, then I suggest bringing extra tubing in case yours gets damaged. Sometimes there's an edge inside your robot that can cut it, or another robot breaks it. Extra valves, solenoid, 3-pin wires, as well as if you are using the modern ether and legacy kit. I suggest making this contraption at where you pump the air into your tank. I've seen countless air tank valves randomly break, start leaking mid-tournament, and this really helps your odds of preventing any issues you have. Guys, thank you so much for watching this far. It helps me out a lot. Making this video takes a ton of work and planning, and you guys give me the motivation to keep making these. We're more than halfway to 250 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you guys. I'm so grateful for your support. If this video gets me at least 50 subscribers, I will make any reasonable robotics related video of the top comment. So please take 5 seconds right now and write down what you would like me to work on next. Now, back to the video. This is the miscellaneous section, featuring a variety of items, some of which are more important than others. Starting off, we have the cleaning equipment. Now, I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. Over time, your flex wheels and sensors get dirty, which affects the overall performance of your robot slightly, but in some cases Having some water or cleaning liquid with a cloth or paper towel could clean your visual sensors or wipe off the dust that affects the odometry wheel, or even rub off the dust of your flex wheels, which might make a small difference, but it always these small differences for autonomous that are hard to keep track of, whether when testing or on the field. Obviously, make sure to bring your parts kit, screws, nuts, etc. If you have one or able to, make sure to bring a portable cooling fan. It is an essential to have one, especially in small events where matches are very close and back to back, in order to cool down your motors. It's usually well paired with an electrical socket extender. If you don't have any of this fancy equipment or can't transport something this big, there is a solution for you. You can buy compressed air or freeze spray to help your robot's motors cool fast. This is a great option for you if you don't have a good fan, or it takes up too much space to transport from competition to comp. Before we move on the most niche and subjective part of this video, I would like to mention to always bring rubber bands and zip ties. Why? Just bring them. No, like really, just bring them. These often can save you from trouble in tight time frames. And now, the section you have all been waiting for. Mechanisms. Whether you compete at a high level with a super light robot or a newbie who still doesn't know how to control their build quality, this section is for both veterans and new people to VEX alike, or any other VEX robotics to this matter. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, guys. Any part that moves D-scores, match loaders, doinkers, sometimes even odometry pods. If they're flimsily built, or anything that moves substantially outside of the robot with little bracing, should be expected to get damaged, especially at high levels, where robots do everything to save on weight, or when you're still learning how to properly build, reinforce, and brace. So if you know something that might break on the mech, or a specific part of it that can bend or shatter, bring spares. I've seen several medium to high level robots perform incredibly well, and they'll lose finals because they saved way on their intake and got bumped around and harshly in the previous match, making them unable to score, or match loader snapping in game because another robot just drove over it. Also, I do know this parts list is quite huge. It's obviously not expected to you to have all these items at hand unless you have the budget for it. Now I know I have missed some important parts. Please make sure to leave them down below in the comments so novices and veterans alike can learn about what I or they missed out on. By the way, here are some videos you can watch out next. If you found any of this information useful, please subscribe so you won't miss out on more useful tips to give you an edge out on the field. Good luck and see you in the next video.